The Galactic Accord's central training compound stood as a monument to the universe's most elite warriors. Constructed in the orbit of a dead star, it held no allegiance to any species, only to strength, performance, and discipline. Among the assembled soldiers, humans were the newest, small, emotional, weak. That's how the others saw them. The Tyr'vok didn't hide their disdain. Towering giants engineered for war, they were proud of their superiority. Varnak, a decorated warrior with obsidian skin and silver eyes, took every opportunity to belittle the newcomers. He stood nearly 3 meters tall and had shattered bones for less than a bad look. To him, Earth's soldiers were amusing, undisciplined apes dressed in uniforms pretending to be soldiers. Lieutenant Jackson Cole wasn't built like a Tyr'vok. He wasn't built like much by alien standards. 6 feet tall, lean, square-jawed, quiet. He didn't engage in posturing. He didn't crack under pressure. He watched, measured, waited. That made Varnak even bolder. During a weapons demo in the mess hall's converted drill room, Varnak made his move. In front of 24 alien species and every commanding officer from a station, he approached Cole mid-instruction, sneered, and slapped him. It echoed across the walls like a thunderclap. The room fell silent. Even the monitors froze. Cole's head turned with the force, but his stance didn't shift. He looked at Varnak for 3 seconds. Just 3. His mouth barely moved. You really shouldn't have done that. Laughter erupted from several corners of the room. A few humans stiffened, fists clenched, but no one moved. No one needed to. Cole had already said everything. The officers let it go, calling it a misunderstanding in the spirit of interspecies familiarity. Varnak grinned, baring rows of needle-like teeth. To him, it was dominance. To Cole, it was an invitation. The slap was uploaded to the Accord's shared feed within the hour. Replay after replay. Alien forums speculated how many more slaps humans could take before they broke. Some found it amusing. Others saw it as a needed reminder of order. Earth had joined the Accord with big words and loud history. But history didn't matter here. This was merit. This was muscle. This was proof. Varnak roamed the compound that evening, chest puffed, recounting the slap with dramatic flair to whoever would listen. He didn't move, didn't react, like a stunned pet. Do they even feel pain? The crowd laughed again. One young Alari, a life-form-based species, asked why the human didn't retaliate. Because he knows, Varnak said, that in a real fight, he wouldn't last a heartbeat. But inside the human's quarters, there was no laughter. Cole sat with his team, running silent drills, hand signals, movement patterns. Not one mentioned the incident. Not one even looked like they cared. But the tension in the air was sharp, controlled, and heavy. Not anger. Not fear. Something else. Something colder. They'd seen this before. They'd been underestimated before. What the other species didn't understand was that Earth's best didn't posture. They didn't retaliate when emotions were high. They waited, focused, observed. The SEALs were not trained for show. They were trained to end wars in the dark before they started. The following day, the official rotation resumed. Varnak was assigned to the same unit as Cole for live combat drills. Coincidence, perhaps, but no one believed that. Not even the command staff. As they stood in formation, Cole didn't look at Varnak once. Didn't flinch when his name was called. Didn't smirk when Varnak snorted in amusement. The Tyr'vok leaned in close during inspection and whispered, "I hope they let us fight." Cole answered without turning, without blinking. "They will." The instructor, a neutral AI arbiter, processed the challenge request submitted by Varnak hours earlier. It had been approved. A formal duel. Training sanctioned. Legal under Accord code. Lethal force permitted. The Tyr'vok thought they'd crush a human for sport. Cole simply nodded. Word spread faster than fire in a vacuum. A duel between a Tyr'vok veteran and a human SEAL? On neutral ground? Every species tuned in. Some out of curiosity, others out of boredom. But a few, those who had read Earth's history, watched with quiet unease. Back in the barracks, Cole sat alone. His team prepped gear, even though none would interfere. One asked if he was going to wear exo-armor. Cole shook his head. Won't need it. He pulled a simple black vest over his standard fatigues. No extra shielding. No enhancers. Just training. Just instinct. Just biology. Honed to kill, with speed no machine could match and efficiency no species could replicate. He didn't care about pride. He didn't care about proving humanity's place. He didn't even care about the slap. He was just finishing what had already started. The duel had been scheduled for 24 hours after the incident. No delays. No appeals. Accord rules allowed interspecies combat under supervision if both parties consented. Varnak had signed with smug anticipation. Cole had signed without expression. Word traveled fast. By nightfall, the whole compound was aware. By morning, entire systems were watching. To most species present, it was already decided. The Tyr'vok were born to fight. Engineered for strength, aggression, and battlefield longevity, their combat scores consistently topped charts. They moved like machines and struck like tanks. Varnak wasn't even considered elite by Tyr'vok standards, just competent, but to everyone else, he was a walking massacre. Cole, in contrast, was a human, a race that had joined the Accord only 20 years ago, with no genetic enhancements and a long record of internal conflicts. Emotional, erratic, inefficient. In the mess halls, aliens gossiped. Why didn't the human retaliate earlier? They must be weak. Maybe it's part of their religion. One theory, a squid-like diplomat, offered a different theory. Humans are unpredictable. That's what makes them dangerous. His companion scoffed. They're just good storytellers. This one's about to get turned into paste. The command staff issued no statement. Officially, the duel was a matter of individual resolution. Privately, some advisors expressed concern. One of the Alari tacticians had reviewed Earth's military archive from their first contact period and noted a pattern. Every time humans have been cornered, they responded not with surrender, but with escalation. They didn't just fight. They dismantled. They adapted faster than any known species, because they never expected to survive. They planned to win or die trying. And sometimes they didn't die. In the prep bay, Varnak stood before a polished alloy mirror, flexing his arms. His armor was ceremonial, a dark red alloy that shimmered with kinetic reactive energy. He spoke to his Tyr'vok second. The human will try something clever. They always do. I'll break him quick. He grinned. He'll think it's mercy. Meanwhile, Cole sat on a bench alone, lacing up his boots with clinical precision. He didn't carry weapons, didn't run diagnostics. His team didn't give him advice. They had already trained for this moment hundreds of times. SEALs weren't taught to fight fair. They were taught to finish the fight before it began. He reviewed muscle memory, calculated reach, weight differential, strike angle, foot position, bone thickness. His hands moved slower than normal. Controlled. No wasted energy. No nerves. The other human soldiers said nothing. They didn't need to. Every one of them had faced worse odds. What the rest of the galaxy didn't know was that Earth's worst enemies had always been human. And they'd survived that. Alien instructors debated safety protocols. Some worried Varnak would kill Cole too quickly. Others wondered if Cole would even get a hit in. The idea of a human winning wasn't considered seriously, only speculated for entertainment. But among a select few, there was silence. They had seen Earth's records, not the broadcasted diplomatic messages, but the black box footage, the declassified field logs, the unedited aftermaths of what humans called necessary action. Those few didn't speak, not out of fear but respect. One analyst in the command tower whispered to another, "They don't posture. That's what bothers me. Even predators show off. Humans don't. They hide it. Until it's too late." The duel had drawn in high-ranking observers. Some came to laugh, others to assess. Everyone came to watch. Some expected a spectacle. Others wanted a warning. The truth was that humanity's place in the Accord had always been conditional, welcomed, but never trusted. Their achievements were impressive, yes, but misunderstood. For every advancement, there was a trail of ashes. For every success, an uncomfortable question. How far would humans go when challenged? Cole had no interest in politics. He had no statement to make, no banner to raise. He didn't care what the galaxy thought of humanity. His focus was narrow, singular. The Tyr'vok had laid a challenge not just with a slap, but with centuries of arrogance. Cole accepted not for honor, not for payback, but because that's what he was trained to do. In threats. Outside, the arena systems began activation. Gravity locked. Atmosphere sealed. Force fields engaged. Biomonitors synced. All data would be archived and shared, viewed by trillions. Every movement analyzed. Every reaction dissected. And still, none of it would capture the truth of what was about to happen. Because they didn't understand humans. Not really. They saw physical limits. They saw emotional range. What they didn't see, what they couldn't see, was will. The kind of will that refused to lose. The kind that survived extinction events. The kind that evolved not from dominance, but desperation. Cole adjusted his wrist. Flexed once. Checked his breathing. Heart rate normal. Blood oxygen optimal. He didn't look at the cameras. He didn't speak to his team. He just waited. Tyr'vok laughed in the hallways. This won't last 5 seconds. Maybe it wouldn't. But 5 seconds was all Cole needed. The arena's silence was absolute. Two combatants stood at opposite ends, one towering in weight and stature, the other still, light, unarmored. Varnak rolled his shoulders, confident, muscles swelling with kinetic anticipation. Cole stood loose, spine straight, arms relaxed. No tension in his face, no movement in his eyes, just stillness. The signal dropped. Varnak exploded forward. His acceleration cracked the floor beneath him, a blur of mass and power. The audience expected blood immediately. Cole sidestepped, not with flourish, not with panic. Just a clean pivot, effortless, timed down to the millisecond. Varnak's first blow missed by inches, the kinetic wave from his fist slamming into the arena wall, denting the alloy. Before Varnak could recover, Cole stepped in. One movement, a short, brutal arc of the elbow angled upward. The crack was instant. Bone shattered, not just broken, collapsed. Varnak's frontal skull caved inward with a sickening crunch. His body folded where it stood, legs twitching, arms spasming in reflex. He hit the floor hard, dead before his body registered impact. There was no cheer, no reaction, only a moment of stunned disbelief. Cole didn't move. He didn't breathe heavy. He didn't gloat. He simply stared at the body, then turned his back and walked off the platform. The arena's emergency biosensors flared red. Medics rushed in, but it was meaningless. Varnak's brain was destroyed. No species known could survive that kind of trauma. The duel had lasted 2.8 seconds. Observers across the galaxy froze. Feeds crashed. Replays began looping before the data fully uploaded. Alien generals paused, rewound, played it again. And again. Slowed it down. Studied the frame by frame. Cole had moved with mechanical precision. Every inch of his motion was optimized. No wasted steps, no hesitation. His posture suggested no fear, no urgency. He had known exactly what to do before Varnak even moved. The elbow had connected at the precise weakest point of Tyr'vok cranial structure, just above the orbital ridge, where bone density dipped by a fraction of a millimeter. Not even most Tyr'vok knew that. Cole had known. Command staff convened in emergency briefing rooms. The duel had been legal, clean, unambiguous. But the implications were not. A human had just executed a kill maneuver faster than the most advanced targeting systems in the Accord. Not with a weapon. With bare hands. Alien forums erupted. Debates, fear-mongering, fascination. How'd he do that? Is that normal for humans? Why aren't they in charge? Some called it luck. Others insisted it was an outlier. But humans watching knew better. SEALs were not anomalies. They were products, refined by generations of war, stress, and deliberate design. What the galaxy saw as barbarism, Earth had shaped into doctrine. Cole returned to the human barracks without a word. No one asked what happened. They didn't need to. They'd seen the broadcast. Some of them had done similar things in worse places, under worse conditions, with fewer witnesses. Cole sat, removed his boots, drank water. Business as usual. In the arena's control center, technicians were still recalibrating sensors. Did the human move before the signal dropped? One asked. The answer was no. He had waited until the first legal frame. That made it worse. Rumors spread beyond the station within hours. Human strength was no longer a joke, no longer a curiosity. The other species had misunderstood restraint for weakness, silence for fear. What they saw now was precision, violence as science, emotion stripped from execution. Tyr'vok command tried to downplay it. Varnak underestimated his opponent. But internally, they had no answers. Their soldier had followed protocol, worn armor, had reach, speed, and years of experience. None of it mattered. He died faster than his brain could process the blow. Other elite units from across the Accord requested footage. Some for training, others for threat analysis, a few for recruitment planning. But buried in every inquiry was a new and growing unease. If this was one soldier, just one, then what else were humans hiding? Cole didn't volunteer interviews. He didn't offer apologies. He'd done what he came to do, nothing more. The SEALs operated on a simple principle. When action is necessary, clarity is brutal. Varnak had asked for a demonstration. Cole gave it to him. Later that day, a young alien officer approached a human commander with a question. Was it your strongest soldier? The commander gave a small shrug. No, just the one who was available. The Accord's atmosphere changed overnight. The station corridors that once echoed with quiet mockery and dismissive glances toward the humans now held silence. Not fear exactly, something deeper. Calculation. For the first time, the rest of the galaxy realized they had not been studying humanity. Humanity had been studying them. Across military channels, the duel was dissected beyond combat analytics. Tyr'vok war colleges privately circulated the footage under the label Emerging Threat. Strategic AI systems reclassified human potential engagement protocols. Dozens of species submitted requests to audit Earth's combat training archives. None were approved. Cole returned to regular drills like nothing had changed. No debrief, no commendation. His team didn't praise him. They treated the event as they would any completed mission. Silently, efficiently, with focused indifference. To them, Cole's performance wasn't exceptional. It was expected. Word reached the Accord's political branches. Diplomatic envoys requested reassurances. Earth's representative, a civilian linguist named Dr. Mara Linda, simply responded, "Our people believe in peace, but we prepare for the alternative." The message was clear. Humanity wasn't looking for war, but they would never beg to avoid one. In private meetings, alien leaders debated. If a single human could kill an apex species warrior in under 3 seconds, what could 10 do? What about 100? What do their warships look like? Their orbital strategies? Their psychological warfare doctrines? And if this was just a SEAL, one branch of one military division, what other specializations existed? Some argued it was still an anomaly. Others disagreed. The humans had done nothing to amplify the incident. No propaganda, no victory tours. That was what unsettled them most. A species proud of brutality would flaunt it. Humans, instead, treated it like paperwork. Varnak's death triggered a cultural shift among the Tyr'vok. Internal honor rituals labeled him a fallen to ignorance. Their youth began quietly studying Earth tactics. Their elders refused to speak of the duel. Meanwhile, the Galactic training compound revised its combat pairings. Humans were no longer assigned solo drills against larger opponents. Too dangerous. Not for the humans, for everyone else. On the human side, no changes occurred. No restrictions. No warnings issued to personnel. Because nothing unexpected had happened. The result had been inevitable from the moment Cole was slapped. In the Galactic black market networks, the fight became valuable currency. Mercenary guilds began revising their human recruitment offers, doubling pay. Crime syndicates banned contracts against human targets. Some of the smarter ones added clauses. If you see one, walk away. On Earth, the event barely registered in public channels. Classified. Redacted. Cole's name didn't even appear in logs. His record simply showed engagement complete. That was all it needed to say. The SEALs didn't fight for glory. They fought for advantage. Tactical. Final. Quiet. Alien behavioral scientists submitted reports theorizing the origin of such discipline. The consensus: humans trained under threat of self-destruction. Unlike other species, who evolved toward optimization or dominance. Humanity evolved to survive itself. It forged them not just physically but psychologically. They didn't view conflict as extraordinary. They viewed it as inevitable. Command officers across the Accord began issuing new training orders. Adapt to human tactics. Learn their timing. Study their psychology. But those who tried learned something unsettling. Human behavior didn't scale like other species. It bent around context, molded by instinct and memory. What worked in one engagement failed in another. No fixed doctrine. No predictable limit. One general from the Valari said it plainly. They are chaos given form, wearing calm like armor. Cole was reassigned within the week. No fanfare. A simple redeployment order. Another sector, another post. The humans watching him leave said nothing. He didn't shake hands, didn't look back. Just packed and moved forward. That was how it always went. The mission ends. The next begins. But behind him, the consequences remained. Tyr'vok recruitment numbers declined sharply over the following quarter. The youth no longer saw invincibility in size. The Accord's joint operations began integrating humans into planning phases earlier than before. Their input was no longer optional. It was essential. For all the silence, one truth echoed through the stars, whispered in barracks and council chambers alike. Humanity had arrived not with fanfare, but with finality. They had asked for nothing, bragged about nothing. They had been slapped and responded with lethal precision. And now the galaxy knew. Not all monsters roar. So just wait.